So there have been a couple things in the news lately that may have made you think Tesla stock is on shaky ground, but it just isn't so. I've got Randy Kirk here with me today to talk about the 7 biggest catalysts that can drive the stock price further. He's joining us now live via interwebs. Randy, welcome to My Tesla Weekend.
It is a thrill to be here.
Isn't it?
And extremely big thrill. Yes.
Isn't it?
It's a giga thrill.
It is a giga thrill, says Randy, and he would know. Oh, Randy, I got some things here. I saw you made this list, and I was very excited by it, and I wanted to cover some of the items on it and have you explain them to me. Number 1, Optimus reveal with orders open, for leases at $50,000 a year. What's that about?
So the list, basically, what we're trying to say in the list is that Tesla is a very different company. It is not a normal company. Normal companies have catalysts. I mean, Apple has catalysts and Amazon has catalysts, and all these companies have catalysts that affect their stock, or positively or negatively. But when Tesla has a catalyst, it also has a world-changing element to it. It's not just, oh, we have a new product, or oh, we have a new president, or a new this, or a new that, or we're opening a new facility. No, we're going to change the world, and in this particular case, when it comes to Optimus, the CEO of Tesla, oh yeah, he has a completely different name, the Techno King of Tesla, said about Optimus that it will break the economy. Well, if something's going to break the economy when it becomes a thing, then I would call that a giga catalyst. It is beyond the size and scope of normal catalysts.
And Optimus would do that if orders are opened up. Number 2, you said Elon Musk drives Tesla from coast to coast, or some such, in the back seat, or without a steering wheel or accelerator. The long-awaited coast-to-coast FSD drive. That would be a catalyst?
Yeah. So again, I think he's promised this, and we know, Elon has a history of always keeping his promises, even if they might be late. And so I think that when he's ready, when number 12, version 12, or whether it's 12 or whether it's 13, whenever he's ready, and he believes that he can make that coast-to-coast trip, that would be the kind of PR number that is a Elon Musk-ish type effort. It would get massive coverage from the time he talked about it to the time he left. People would be, every city that he went through, there'd be, every kind of camera that you can think of out there taking pictures of him and the car coming through town, and then all the way to the conclusion. And then people would be waiting with bated breath for 5 or 6 days as he made the trip for the one time that he had to disengage or that the car couldn't do what it was supposed to do. Talk about tension.
You think he'd do it himself?
He said he was going to.
Oh.
Now, I think he'll have a second person in the car. They might have to have a follow car, although that would certainly subtract from the tension. It would be so much better if he was out there all by himself, ready to take the hit if there was a hit to take.
But then Gordon Johnson would just get in front of him and cause an accident with Dan O'Dowd, and those two clowns would pile out of their clown car and start juggling.
Yeah, I just encourage people to contemplate a larger catalyst that any company could ever do, other than those first two. These two already are just mind-bogglingly huge in terms of the amount of coverage and the effort and the reality of what the kind of volume of dollars it would drive.
Okay. I'm making notes. Okay. Another one that you'd suggested was any OEM, original equipment manufacturer, legacy auto, signing a deal for FSD or even to get a Tesla OS in their vehicle fleet. That would signal something, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So again, it's not unusual. I didn't know it until last week, but it turns out Tesla buys parts from other legacy OEM companies, the things that make sense, that they buy them from these other companies. And so it shouldn't be a shock that a company would end up buying something from Tesla for their automobiles. But it would be kind of a big deal once FSD, even if it happened before FSD, it kind of doesn't matter. If they bought the FSD package and the entire chip, like you say, to where they would get 100%, they would start having their entire software run by Tesla, as others have called it Tesla inside. You could have a rally. Since we got a pretty good rally out of Ford saying that we're just going to use the superchargers, the fact that they would be onboarding either the entire chip or the FSD portion of the chip, Ford or anybody else for that matter, would be, I think, a market mover. Maybe 30, 40 points in the first day after the announcement.
And really, it could be any of the software. Like you said, the OS, it could be any of it.
Right.
It could be the debugger. It could be any of it. And that I do believe you're correct on that. Number 4, you suggested CyberTruck handoff day with good specs, pricing, and reasonable delivery guidance. I do not doubt this one. I'm looking forward to it.
So the announcement itself will move the market. So the announcement of what day it's going to take place. We've seen that in the past. And then, of course, you could get into a sell the news situation on the day that it actually takes place, except there's going to be some point in there where we're going to find out the price, we're going to find out all the specs, assumedly, we're going to find out, what the final absolute look is. So there'll be a whole lot of stuff that'll be revealed, and so the point at which we get the full reveal is probably the big mover, assuming, again, that the reveal says that the specs are 500 miles or close to 500 miles, because that's what was promised, and that most of the other things that have been talked about are in the package. I'm guessing they're going to hold back 1 or 2 or 3 things that they have not told anybody yet, but it doesn't matter. It is going to move the market. And again, this is not like a new Corolla coming off the line. This is not even like a new Model Y or even like the Highland coming off the line. This is a mega change of the entire concept of a truck. And everybody's out there with an opinion about whether it's going to be dead on arrival or whether it's going to be the best thing since sliced bread.
Can I tell you my thought on how big of a deal this is? This reminds me of when Lexus debuted.
Oh, okay.
It was Toyota, but so much more.
So much. Yes.
Where did you go wrong, Lexus? Where? It was a big deal.
Yes.
Number 5, ribbon cutting in Mexico.
Yes. Now this one is again, you can have a company open up a new facility someplace. The key to this one being a big market mover will be that that there's new information that goes along with the ribbon cutting. For instance, and you are the expert in this area, there has been talk that this will be even larger of a facility than Austin. Well, but we don't have that confirmed by the company yet. We'd like to know what is the ultimate square footage, how much square footage in phase 1, how many phases are there, also how many cars are going to be made there. There's speculation that it might be 2, it might be 4, it might be 5. So if we could get along with the ribbon cutting, the square footage or cubic footage or whatever you want to, however you measure a building of that size, and the number of cars they expect to make there, it's not going to be coincidental with the discovery of the actual look of the vehicle. That'll be a separate wonderful event on another day. But if this one's going to move the market 20 or 30 points, we need some of that really cool stuff about this being the most massive factory in the world, even eclipsing Tesla's own existing massive factories.
I love it, and I agree with all of it. The factory is going to be very exciting, and I'm excited to start covering it as soon as I can. Number 6 on your list, announcement that 4680 is at 100 gigawatt hours in Austin. All right, talk to me.
So Again, you had a headline this morning that one of the battery companies, I can't remember which one right now, just went out of my head, but one of the battery companies announced that they've achieved their certain level of expertise with regard to a new battery that they're doing, and now they're going to ramp that battery. And a couple of days ago, CATL was talking that they're going to have an announcement coming about their new battery. All of these battery announcements, they don't move their stocks. This one is completely different because once they hit 100 gigawatts, this puts Tesla on the road to being the largest lithium battery company in the world, passing CATL. Their plans are to pass CATL in terms of the number of gigawatt or terawatt hours that they're eventually going to produce. Now, CATL could change their mind and they could, try to stay ahead or whatever. But going from being a little tiny, well, not a little tiny, I guess they're like 11th or 12th right now in the world, but getting to the place where they can sincerely say, and the street could go, oh no, they're serious now. They're at 100 gigawatts. They only have to 10 times this to get to a terawatt. All of a sudden that becomes earth-shattering.
Do you have an estimate of what you think they're at in Texas at the moment?
Well, I'm having to go off of the other experts like Jordan. He's talking about they might be around 4 per year at this point, and maybe going 80% a quarter. I think he's estimating that they'll hit the 100 gigawatt by the end of the first quarter. That is kind of where I am too, only because Jordan's smart.
Jordan is very smart. I don't know of anyone who is willing to share their information who has more knowledge about batteries than Jordan Giesecke of The Limiting Factor, friend of the show.
Absolutely.
Cato Road was, nameplate capacity was 10 gigawatt hours, and it is pretty small.
Yeah.
And we know that Texas has been struggling to ramp. So I think early to mid next year might even be optimistic. And the real bottom line is even Tesla doesn't know the answer. So
Right.
I think your guess is as good as any. Your second-hand guess, my third-hand guess, quality.
Yes.
And because there are just too many catalysts to cover, we're going to have a part 2. But before we get to the final one for today, in the comments, what stock catalyst are you looking for? What did we miss on that front? Because there's some good ones. I'm going to share my good one before we get to number 7 here and head off to part 2. What if a big catalyst could be a government announces a MegaPack project? We're going to buy Tesla batteries for X number, some gargantuan amount. That would be a mover.
Yes, that would also, you're absolutely right, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, another OEM, same thing. It could be that CATL or some other OEM would say, Tesla, we'll put it in order now for these 4680s that you're going to make. Even though they're a maker, sometimes you might want a different chemistry or you might want a different setup, So yeah, could happen.
That's a wild one. So number 7 today, one state or country approves Tesla Robotaxi.
Yeah, so this is really, I would say the biggest FUD with regard to Tesla's FSD at this point is not whether they will ever do it or not. The biggest FUD is this idea that there's going to be this big gap between when FSD is solved and when Robotaxi can be unveiled and expanded across the country or across multiple countries. And many people think it's going to take months and or years because all the regulation and things that they'll have to go through, the different states having different rules, etc. Well, I think you and I know that there's at least 4 states, California, Nevada, Arizona, and Florida, that appear to be ready to do it like the next day.
Yes.
There may not even be any regulations. There may not be anything to have to pass. You just put the cars out on the road and start driving them and charging people. But to the extent that there are, and or that is true, that what we think is true, once there is a robotaxi network legally on the streets in a state, any state, doesn't matter, and or a country, maybe they start in the Netherlands as opposed to starting in any state. Once that happens, then there's a reality that takes place. And that reality then goes to the stock market, and the stock market goes, oh my gosh, we never thought we'd see the day. And then you get 20, 30, 40 points.
Very, very good. Love to hear that. And I think you're right. It will make it a reality in ways that, and wherever it is, people will flood there to do their coverage. You saw how many videos of people going to upstate New York just to check out the Magic Dock, and that's not even an exciting product. But if even Bahrain is the first country that has robotaxis, you're going to see a lot of flights. And for that matter, what were you on that front? There's in Nevada. Not only have they already written the laws to permit self-regulated autonomy, they've already rewritten their distracted driving laws to say if autonomous, you can use your phone behind the wheel. It's already because it is Nevada. I do not know how many laws they have on the books. I think none. I'm not sure, but they've got. It's an interesting state. And you're right, the technology it needs to not be stuck in legal limbo. The Onion had a great article about climate scientists remind the world, we have all the solutions just ready to go kind of whenever. Just let us know. And you guys keep saying, but kind of ready. So awesome. I enjoy hanging out with you, Randy.
Well, it's a long way between Portland and Riverside, or Oregon. Are you in Portland?
No, I'm an hour north of Portland.
You're an hour north of Portland. Thank goodness. Anyway, but it's bridged by this marvelous technology.
Yes. So I enjoyed this so much, Randy. I would like to have you back in a few days to cover the next of your 7 amazing catalysts. Under one condition, we have to wear the same outfits and pretend like we shot them back to back.
I see.
So, guys, in the comments, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? Stay tuned, stay juicy. I can't wait to hear from you clever robots. Not momentarily, for sure, but in a few days.